Hello and welcome to another episode of All American Cooking. I am Michael Allen, and today, well, you can see what I have in front of you here. These are some of the best homemade buttermilk biscuits that you will ever have. These aren't the ones that come in the can where you peel it and it's supposed to pop and you're hitting the thing and then all of a sudden, boom, and it just scares the hell out of you. No, these are homemade and they don't take long. The only time-consuming part is letting the dough chill in the fridge for about a half an hour just because it needs to be cold. That's the secret to this cold butter, cold buttermilk, cold dough. So of course, what goes better with buttermilk biscuits than sausage gravy? And there's all different types of sausage gravy out there. Mine is pretty traditional. I like to add a few things because, you know, more flavor, more fun. Because I don't like to eat boring food, and you shouldn't like to eat boring food either. That's the motto of this channel, is don't eat boring food. So I'm going to show you how to make these amazing homemade biscuits. I'm going to show you my take on sausage gravy. We're going to put it all together. Best breakfast ever. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it and make these beautiful biscuits. So we begin with 2 cups of all-purpose flour in a mixing bowl. Sifting is not necessary, but just 2 cups of all-purpose flour. To that, we are going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar, followed by 1 tablespoon of baking powder, then about a ½ teaspoon of baking soda, and we're just going to finish it off with a little pinch of kosher salt, maybe about a teaspoon or so. Now get yourself a whisk and whisk all of those dry ingredients together until they're thoroughly combined. Now for this part, you're going to want to use frozen butter. I always use unsalted because I like to control the amount of salt in my food. And we're just going to grate this butter. You can cut it into cubes, you can use a dough cutter, you can use a food processor. I like frozen butter in a grater. It just combines better. It makes for a flakier, better biscuit. Now, with gloves on so that the butter doesn't melt, we're just going to toss that grated butter with this flour mixture until it becomes kind of a pebbly consistency. That's what you're looking for. Once you got that, use your fingers to create a little well in the center, and we're going to add some buttermilk. So I've got 1½ cups of cold buttermilk. I'm going to start off by pouring a cup into that well. And we're just going to fold it over with a spatula, let that flour start to absorb it. We'll add another ¼ cup as the dough starts to be a little too dry, just to make sure that we've got a decent combination. If you don't have buttermilk, you can combine 1 cup of whole milk with 1 tablespoon of either vinegar or lemon juice. And there you go, homemade buttermilk. So at this point, I'm going to add another about a ¼ cup or so, and that will be enough. I'll reserve that other ¼ cup for use a little bit later on. But we're going to continue to fold over with this spatula until it becomes too difficult to do, and we'll take it to the next step. So now we've got a nice, sticky, wet, lumpy, clumpy, stringy mass. We're going to go ahead and flour our work surface and turn this lump of dough out onto it. We're not going to knead this dough. We don't want to overwork it. We don't want to work the gluten in the flour or anything. Basically, we just want to flour our hands, flour the surface, flour the dough, kind of press it together and continue to just kind of fold it over itself and really press down into it until it becomes a more workable dough. And then you're just going to keep pressing it flat. Just try to keep pressing flat, let it spread out. Again, not overworking it, just pressing, adding some flour as needed. And we'll take a bench scraper. We're going to fold into thirds, 1/3, 2/3. And add some flour as you go. Turn it sideways, press it flat again, and then do the same thing. Grab your bench scraper, fold up one side 1/3 of the way, the other side 1/3 of the way, and we're going to do this about 4 or 5 times. Keep adding a little bit of flour if you're feeling some wet spots on the work surface or in the dough itself. Once we get to maybe another 2 or 3 times doing this, we'll take it to the next step. And in case I didn't mention, keep flouring your work surface as needed. Make sure it's not sticking the dough to the board, and keep flouring the dough. Make sure it's not wet at all, and continue folding like this. This is what's going to give your nice flaky layers to your biscuits. So now it's my least favorite part, is wrapping it in this cellophane. I can't stand this stuff. This even has a little zipper on it, and I still screw it up. I was not, I was never good with working with this. So hopefully you are. But anyway, just wrap it nice and tight in some cellophane. It's going to spend about 30 minutes in the chill chest. And after 30 minutes in the fridge, you got nice cold dough, freshly floured work surface, floured rolling pin. Go ahead and start rolling this kid out. You're not necessarily looking for a circle or a rectangle or a rhombus or anything like that. But what we are looking for is even thickness, about a 1/2 inch all the way across. Just keep rolling until it's about a 1/2 inch. Just make sure it's even, otherwise your biscuits aren't going to be even. And once you're there, we're going to go ahead and cut using a biscuit cutter. If you do not have a biscuit cutter, a glass will work. An old can washed out will work, whatever you want. Flour that too. We don't want anything to stick. And when you use this, you're not going to twist because that will seal the edges and your biscuits won't rise. So you just want to push it in and just kind of pull off to the side, and there you go. Nice little 1/2 inch biscuit. You can see the sides aren't sealed, so we're going into a cast iron pan with these. And right about this point is when you realize that your 10-inch cast iron pan is not big enough. So we're going to want to switch to a 12-inch cast iron pan. Now, if you don't have a cast iron pan or Dutch oven, you can also just use a sheet pan. Just line it with parchment paper. Don't throw these scraps away. Just kind of push them all back together. We're going to reuse those. They're not going to be as good as the first ones, but they can still be used to make some great biscuits. Again, we're just going to kind of fold it over itself, and we're going to go ahead and roll it out. Actually, we're going to fold it over one more time. There we go. And roll it back out again to about a 1/2 inch thickness, and cut the rest of your biscuits. Still got that remaining buttermilk? Good. Crack 1 egg in there. Just 1 egg. Just to richen it up, thicken it up a little bit. And we're going to whisk that together till it's well combined. And we're going to go ahead, we're going to brush the tops of these biscuits with this buttermilk egg mixture. That's going to help with the browning, give it a richer flavor. So your beautiful biscuits all in your cast iron pan. Grab yourself a brush and just go ahead and brush the tops of all those kids. So after everybody's been neatly basted, the whole thing's going to go into a 425-degree oven for about 18 to 20 minutes. Time to make some gravy, and we begin with breakfast sausage. I like the hot stuff. So I've got a saucepan. It's just a scotch past medium heat. We're going to squeeze this kid into that pan. It's going to sizzle a little bit. We're not trying to brown it or anything. Just like when we made the chorizo, we're just going to kind of break it up. Help it along, and as it cooks, it's going to get more crumbly. You see that I have this spatula with the holes in it. That helps a lot. A potato masher also works wonders. So we're just going to brown this up nicely. And you see that you've rendered out some fat, but it's not enough fat for me. This is supposed to be an artery clog in good time. So create a little hole in the center and about just under a tablespoon of butter. And we're going to let that melt, mix it through, and make sure we got enough fat in there so we can add our flour to create a roux. So now I've got 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Just going to kind of shake it over the whole mix there. There we go. And then we're just going to mix that in thoroughly. Make sure it's well combined and cook it for a few minutes. You don't want that raw flour taste in there. It's not there for flavor. It's just there to thicken everything up. So now what makes my gravy so rich is I've got 1 cup of whole milk and 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. And I've whisked them together. We're just going to slowly add it in about 1/4 cup, 1/2 cup at a time, whisking continuously. Sorry that my hand's in the way. You're going to see that that gets absorbed pretty quickly, the flour and the sausage and everything. So another 1/4 cup or so. Keep whisking, keep whisking. You can see it's thickening up beautifully. Once there's very little of the loose cream left, go ahead and add the rest of it in there. And we'll whisk it all together. Make sure everything is well combined. So now gravy needs some seasoning. We're going to start off with a generous pinch of kosher salt, followed by some freshly ground black pepper. And I like pepper in my gravy, so I do not skimp out on the pepper. We're just going to keep adding and adding and adding. Oh, it's so good. I can smell it. It's just going to be amazing. You're going to love this. Next up, we're going to add some granulated onion or onion powder. You know me, I don't like to measure, so shake in eyeball about a teaspoon or so. We're going to go about the same amount, maybe a little bit more of some granulated garlic. No measuring, just a teaspoon or so. And then I've got some ground sage. Now, I don't like to just shake it in there. I like to actually grab a good pinch of it and kind of rub it with my fingers as it's going in, help it along a little bit. And you might notice this orangish color. That's the butter and the pepper from the sausage. But look what happens when we whisk it. Starting to look like sausage gravy, isn't it? Thickening up beautifully, just where we want it to be. Oh, I forgot one more thing. Nutmeg. That is my secret ingredient to amazing sausage gravy. And the fresh grated is the best. So a little microplane, micro grater, whatever you got. Grate some fresh nutmeg in there. Maybe about 1/2 teaspoon, 3/4 teaspoon or so. And we're going to whisk that all to combine. And we're reducing to just under medium heat. And you'll see that it's going to just gradually thicken up that roux, the heavy cream, the milk, all of those seasonings. It's just going to be amazing. This is the best gravy ever. And after about 20 minutes, look at these beautiful biscuits. You can't believe that they didn't come out of a can. These are homemade, and they are absolutely amazing. So while they're piping hot, I've got a little cast iron pot here with some melted butter. Oh, you know we got to give these biscuits some butter loving. So just go ahead and baste those bad boys in some beautiful melted butter. And then once I get everybody painted with some melted butter there, I like to take some flaky sea salt. And just not real heavy, just a little bit. It just adds a little bit of flavor, a little bit of texture. That added crunch on top makes these biscuits absolutely amazing. So now I'm going to transfer these buttery beauties to a cooling rack, but I just want you to take a look. The bottom's not burnt. It's just a little bit crispy and perfect. Seriously, these biscuits are amazing. So I would be remiss not to try one here. It's very hot, but you could see all the folding that we did. You see those beautiful flaky layers. Oh, ow, that's really, really hot. I have to take a taste of this, though. I mean, just look at this thing. Oh my God. Oh, it's buttery. It's light and flaky and fluffy. It's just store-bought biscuits have nothing on the homemade. You got to make these. And now it is time to build our beautiful breakfast of buttermilk biscuits, buttery and delicious, with our sausage gravy, spicy and rich and creamy. I have no words for this. Not normally I'm a wordsmith, but this is just such an amazing, amazing dish. So I'm just going to let you watch this. And it wouldn't be me if I didn't add a little green. So I've got some finely chopped chives here. We're just going to add to that just to make this dish beautiful. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, Michael, that's a lot of frickin' gravy for just those 2 biscuits. I know it is. I want it that way. I love this gravy. If I could bathe in this gravy, I would. So there you go. Best homemade biscuits and gravy ever. So there it is, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, if you liked the recipe, be sure to leave a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. If you're not subscribed, please click that subscribe button. Click the bell for notifications. Doesn't cost you a thing. It just lets you know when I post new videos like this one and lots more to come. So thanks again. Don't eat boring food. We'll see you next time. Cheers. What do you say, Obi? You want to try a little bit of biscuit? Be my official taster? Can you sit? Sit. Good boy. Wait for it. Wait. Okay, give it a shot. What do you think, pal? I think he likes it. He's picking up all the crumbs. Yeah. I think that we got a winner here. Thanks, Obi. Holy fuck. Mm.